Manifestations of the Higher Consciousness During the Different Kinds of Sleep by Théophile Pascal. This piece is taken from Reincarnation, a Study in Human Evolution. Published in English in 1910. Translated by Fred Rothwell. Normal Dream. During normal sleep there exists a special consciousness which must not be confounded either with waking consciousness or with that of the astral body. It is due to the automatic, cerebral vibration which continues during sleep, and which the soul examines on its return to the body when awake. This dream is generally an absurd one, and the reason the dreamer notices it only on awaking is that he is absent from the visible body during sleep. The proof of the departure of the astral body during sleep has been ascertained by a certain number of seers, but the absurdity of the commonplace dream is a rational proof thereof, one which must here be mentioned. As another rational proof of the existence of a second vehicle of consciousness, we must also notice the regular registering of the commonplace dream, because it takes place in the brain, and the habitual non-registering of the true dream experience, because this latter takes place in the externalized astral body. Why does the astral body leave the physical during sleep? This question is beyond our power to answer, though a few considerations on this point may be advanced. Sleep is characterized by the transfer of consciousness from the physical to the astral body. This transfer seems to take place normally under the influence of bodily fatigue. After the day's activity, the senses no longer afford keen sensations, and as it is the energy of these sensations that keeps the consciousness centered in the brain. 5. This consciousness, when the senses are lulled to sleep, centers in the finer body, which then leaves the physical body with a slight shock. It is, however, of the real dream which is at times so intelligent that it has been called lucid, and at all events is reasonable, logical, and coordinate that we wish to speak. In most cases this dream consists of a series of thoughts due to the soul in action in the astral body. It is sometimes the result of seeing mental pictures of the future. 6. Or else it represents quite another form of animistic activity, as circumstances and the degree of the dreamer's development permit. It is in the lucid dream, whether belonging to normal or to abnormal sleep, that occur those numerous and well-known cases of visions past or future to be found in so many of the books dealing with this special subject. To these same states of higher consciousness are due such productions as Walter Scott's Ivanhoe. The author, suffering from fever, wrote this work whilst in a kind of delirious condition. Ivanhoe was printed before the recovery of the author, who, on reading it at a later date, had not the slightest recollection that it was his own production. Ribert's Maladies de la Mémoire, p. 41. Walter Scott remembered nothing, because Ivanhoe was the fruit of the astral consciousness impressed upon a brain which fever had rendered temporarily receptive to the higher vibrations. There are certain peculiarities of the real dream which prove almost mathematically the superior nature of the vehicle which gives expression to it. This dream, for instance, is never of a fatiguing nature, however long it may appear to last, because it is only an instantaneous impression made upon the brain by the astral body, when the latter returns to the physical body, on awaking. On the other hand, the cerebral ideatio of the waking state is fatiguing if intense or prolonged, or if the nervous system of the thinker is deprived of its normal power of resistance. In neurasthenia, the commonplace, brain, dream is also fatiguing if prolonged or at all vivid. Another peculiarity is that a dream, the real dream which would require several years of life on earth for its realization, can take place in a second. The Dream of Maury, Le Sommeil et le Rêve, p. 161, who in half a second lived through 3 years of the French Revolution, and many other dreams of the same nature, are instances of this. Now, Fetcher has proved, in his Éléments de Psychophysique, first, that a fraction of a second is needed for the sensorial contact to cause the brain to vibrate. This prevents our perceiving the growth of a plant and enables us to see a circle of fire when a piece of glowing coal is rapidly whirled round. Secondly, that another fraction of a second is needed for the cerebral vibration to be transformed into sensation. We might add that a third fraction of a second is needed for sensation to be transformed into ideatio, proving that in these special dreams there can have been no more than an instantaneous, mass impression of all the elements of the dream upon the brain. 7. And that the dream itself has been produced by the imaginative action of the soul in the astral body, an extremely subtle one, whose vibratory power is such as to transform altogether our ordinary notions of time and space. The deathbed dream. In dying people, the bodily senses gradually lose their vitality, and by degrees the soul concentrates itself within the finer vehicle. From that time signs of the higher consciousness appear, time is inordinately prolonged, visions present themselves, the prophetic faculty is sometimes manifested, and verified cases are related of removal to a distance, like that of the Alsatian woman dying on board ship. During the final coma she went to Rio de Janeiro and commended her child to the keeping of a fellow countryman. Diocese El Humite Posthume, p. 47. Similar instances are found in The Night Side of Nature, by C. Crow, as well as in other works of the same kind. The dream of intoxication. Under the influence of soporifics the same transfer of consciousness is produced, and we meet with more or less remarkable phenomena due to the higher consciousness. Opium smokers and eaters of hashish are able to form ideas with such rapidity that minutes seem to them to be years, and a few moments in dreamland delude them into the idea that they have lived through a whole life. Hervés les rêves et les moyens de les diriger. The dream of asphyxia. During asphyxia by submersion the higher consciousness enters into a minute study of the life now running to its close. In a few moments it sees the whole of it again in its smallest details. Karl Duperl, Philosophia Mystique, gives several instances of this. Haddock, Symbolism and Psychism, p. 213, quotes, among other cases, that of Admiral Beaufort. During 2 minutes' loss of consciousness in a drowning condition, he saw again every detail of his life, all his actions, including their causes, collateral circumstances, their effects, and the reflections of the victim on the good and evil that had resulted therefrom. Pertis account, Die Mystischerski Ioch der Meskgleichheit, of Catherine Emmerich, the somnambulist nun, who, when dying, saw again the whole of her past life, would incline one to think that this strange phenomenon, which traditional Catholicism appears to have called the private judgment, and which Theosophy defines with greater preciseness, is not limited to asphyxia by submersion, but is the regular accompaniment of life's ending.